Teeter totters or seesaws are great fun when you're a kid, but when it comes to investing in silver and silver prices, then a seesaw ride isn't really what you're looking for and isn't that much fun. For the last few years, a seesaw ride might be the perfect analogy for what investing in silver has felt like, as we felt the exhilaration of prices going up just to have them go right back down. If you've been around for a while, then you know that while I stack silver, I'm definitely more bullish on gold for a variety of reasons. One of my guiding philosophies has been that you want to have enough silver so that if it does something crazy in terms of price, you'll be happy with that position. I've also shared that I believe everyone should have somewhere between 250 to 500 ounces, with 500 ounces being kind of my preferred number of ounces for silver. Today's video is all about why I believe silver is now a better buy at $24 than it was actually at $17 just a few months ago.
You made a serious mistake.
Actually, I think you're wrong, Batman, and I will explain exactly why I'm actually shifting my stacking away from almost exclusively gold in the $1,900 range over to silver, because I believe silver is finally a value again and finally poised for one of its boom movement in prices, even though by its nature, silver is very much a good news, bad news investment. While many over the past years have hyped silver in 1,000 different ways, I've often felt like Blvd from the Independent Speculator when folks refer to him as Darth Silver. I don't believe Blvd or myself are Darth Silver, anti-silver, or negative on silver, but I think we're just anti-hype and hysteria that leads people to unreasonable expectations. I spend a lot of time on this channel trying to temper expectations around silver because for every bit of good news there is about silver, there's usually a little bit of bad news that has to be considered with it. For example, yes, it is good news that silver is going to be highly utilized in solar panels and EV vehicles. But the bad news is the impact of that is really like 10 to 15 years away. My goal isn't to be Darth Silver, but to provide perspective, help you manage your expectations, and give you a sense of balance, as silver has a way of punishing or even torturing investors on the path to these boom movements in price. First, let's look at a chart of silver price since 1971, and I've added little yellow highlights to bring attention to the times where silver has made these tremendous price gains. That's part of the good news about silver, is that it has these times of explosive growth which can be incredibly profitable. Understanding that we may interpret this chart differently, what I see is also the bad part of silver, volatility. Remember, volatility is not the same thing as risk. Regardless, this volatility is one of the main reasons why I'm not a big fan of silver, and you will hear me say things like, I don't trust silver. Remember the Maya Angelou quote, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Since leaving the gold standard, we've had more than 50 years of silver showing us who it is. So forgive me if I'm not ready to jump on silver is going to be $100 train or any other crazy number people throw out there. And while it is a little cliche for me to say this, I do believe silver is going to go to the moon. The bad news is the follow-up questions that we have to ask ourselves, such as, what happens then? What happens after it goes to the moon? Does it stay in outer space? Does it cruise around us high in the sky or the atmosphere? Or does it immediately come crashing back to Earth? While we can't predict the future, we often can look to the past to help provide us with some insights. Well, here we go with the bad news. Nothing about silver's past leads me to believe that it will remain at a significant higher level in comparison to the spike we may experience. Hey, don't get mad at me, get mad at the data, because as Rick Rule says, I also love arithmetic because it all adds up. Take a look at this chart. All I did here was collect the yearly data on silver with average closing price for the year, opening price, yearly high, yearly low, yearly close, and annual percentage change. Okay, that's a lot of numbers to digest. So here are some broad numbers for you to chew on. From 1971 to 2000, the average price of silver was $6.11. From 2001 to 2022, the average price of silver was $16.42. In total, since leaving the gold standard in 1971, the average price of silver has been $10.47. Remember, part of the good news, bad news is to be balanced and help you manage your expectation. So here's some good news. On this slide, I've sorted the 10 best years of silver price performance, which affirms the idea that we indeed can have amazing performance from silver. Take a look at this 6-year window of performance from silver, starting in 1976 and ending with 1981. Silver opened 1976 at $4.16 and increased 4 years in a row, ending in 1971, where it opened the year at $6.08 and ended at $32.20, which was a 430% increase. What's even crazier is that in 1980, silver got as high as $49.45, only to go as low as $10.89 and finally close the year at $15.50. This little 6-year window really highlights the extreme price movements of silver. And it's really just a perfect microcosm for silver overall. Potentially out of this world performance for a short period of time, but little in terms of price stability or overall baseline price increases. Remember, from 1971 to 2000, the average price of silver was only $6.11. And that includes the 6-year window that I just shared where silver went from $4 to $49. Think about that. This is why I have a love-hate relationship with silver, because of its volatility. I'm going to say this again because it's critical that you remember, volatility is not the same thing as risk. So I've given you a mix of good news and bad news, but here comes the really good news. 1, gold has started its bull market run, but not silver. 2, gold and silver respond at different times during the bull markets. 3, gold is a fear trade while silver is a greed trade. 4, gold leads silver in bull markets, but typically catches up and will outperform during the second half of the bull market as Joe Public comes in looking to ride the wave. 5, Joe Public is now just starting to show some interest in gold. Have you noticed that you've seen a few more gold commercials on regular TV and a few more articles? And 6, silver is approaching a significant critical resistance point at 2450. In recent videos, I've discussed diversification, but not in the traditional sense of diversifying across asset classes, but within an asset class. The poor and undereducated need to diversify across asset classes for their own financial safety and protection because they haven't learned. So they need the protection because they are easily distracted by the noise and market deception. The chart I'm showing you now on the screen shows how each metal performs differently at different times during cycles, which is really critical and ultimately leads me to why silver is finally a better investment now, and the reasons are both simple and complex. 1, we all know that gold leads the price movement in bull markets, which means establishing your position is important. So now that we've started to see that gold is taking off, that tells me it's time to turn my attention to silver to make sure I'm fully positioned for that moment when it happens. 2, as a result, you always want to establish your positions as early as you can so you're not forced to chase prices up, which will ultimately dilute your return on your investment. 3, if you remember that gold leads, gold taking off provides that early signal to prepare yourself. How long do you have? That's a tough call. 4, as a strategy, as gold takes off, you should consider reallocating your funds to shore up your silver position, or what I'm doing is building my silver position up even more, but also building positions in the mining stocks, as miners also tend to lag in terms of timing. So in this next phase of my personal stacking strategy, I've been moving more and more of my capital from physical gold to physical silver platinum, as well as mining stocks to include uranium and copper. 5, even when silver was at $17, I wasn't buying silver. In fact, you might remember that I actually traded 270 ounces of silver for 3¼ ounces of gold. Why? Think back to my videos on value and price and how they are different. $17 silver was a nice price, but not a great value when you had to spend $6 in premiums or over 30% just to buy an ounce of silver, compared to $1,600, $1,700 gold with premiums on fractionals being under 15%. And actually, I was getting gold ounces for 2 to 4% over spot, making gold a much better value for me at that time. The math makes it clear. With gold's $300 price increase from its bottom at $1,620, that's almost a 20% increase. Meanwhile, silver has had a larger increase from its bottom, actually a 34% increase. But here's the huge difference. I was acquiring gold at 2 to 4% over spot. Meanwhile, you couldn't get silver for less than a 30% premium. So while $17 silver was a great price, it wasn't a great value. As a result, all of my gold purchases within the last 9 months are well within the green. Meanwhile, those that were buying silver at $17 with those $6 premiums are just now breaking even, which leads me to the last point and the best reason to buy silver. Today, it's value. I can buy silver at $23 spot price, close to $24, but we are now seeing premiums at below $2 over spot. which is about a 7 to 10% premium range. Just in the last 2 weeks, I saw at least 2 deals where they were selling rounds for $1.50 over spot and then $1.75 over spot. Essentially, because these premiums are so low now, the difference between buying silver at $17 with a $6 premium versus $23 and a under $2 premium is almost identical. Going back to my controversial video of 270 ounces for 3.25, where people told me I was crazy for making that trade, I've made almost $1,000 in gold price appreciation, and I still can almost buy back my whole 270 ounce silver position for the exact same amount that I bought it for in the very beginning. Given the price movement of gold and what should be the follow-up movement by silver, and the extreme way silver will absolutely outperform, as well as the reality that we can now buy silver at below 10% premiums, these conditions absolutely make silver worth receiving serious attention and significant fiat investment, as right now is the best time to prepare your position before silver's big moves happen. That's the good, dare I even say great news. But like the thumbnail hinted, this all is good unless we go into a very deep recession, as silver tends to underperform in those situations. So I guess that's more good news than bad news, but I'm going to try to leave you with one large piece of really good news. Monday, I will release a video where I will make the case that not even a deep recession will stop silver from going boom. So look out for that video. In the comment section, given what I shared, how high do you think silver can boom to? How long do you think it will be before silver goes boom? And which piece of data that you saw was most compelling? You're always my A+ students. Thank you so much for your time. Always stack smarter and never stop learning.